Right now, over 40,000 people are waiting for a car that will never exist. They've put down deposits, joined online communities, and defended their choice with religious fervor. But here's what they don't know. The company behind their dream vehicle has already collapsed once before, taking $60 million and crushing the hopes of 4,000 previous believers. Welcome to the Aptera phenomenon, where physics meets fantasy and investors keep funding the impossible. The year was 2008. Tesla had just launched its first roadster, and the electric vehicle revolution was beginning. Among the wave of ambitious startups promising to change everything was Aptera Motors, founded by Steve Fambro and Chris Anthony in Vista, California. Their vision seemed almost too good to be true. A three-wheeled, solar-powered vehicle that could travel over 1,000 miles on a single charge. The teardrop-shaped design looked more like a spacecraft than a car. Early adopters were mesmerized. The media was captivated. But as we're about to discover, this story has a dark twist that's been hidden from thousands of current investors. The first shocking truth about EVs isn't what you think. It's not range anxiety. It's something far worse that the industry desperately wants to hide. Harvard research from 2024 revealed that EV charging stations fail to work properly up to 25% of the time. Broken cables, software glitches, payment system failures, even major networks like Electrify America are plagued with problems. But here's why this happens. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act allocated $7.5 billion for EV charging, creating a gold rush mentality. Companies rushed to build networks to capture government subsidies, prioritizing quantity over quality. They got paid for building stations, not for making them work. Remember the winter of 2022 in Chicago? Tesla superchargers became car graveyards. Vehicles died while waiting in endless lines during sub-zero temperatures. Cold weather reduces battery efficiency by up to 40%, but charging networks weren't designed to handle the surge in demand. Psychologists now have a term for what EV owners experience: charging trauma. A genuine anxiety about whether their vehicle will strand them, not because of range, but because of infrastructure failure. But here's what makes Aptera's story truly terrifying. This exact company, with the same founders, already collapsed in 2011. In December of that year, Aptera Motors liquidated completely. Over 4,000 customers lost their deposits. They had promised production in 2008, then 2009, then 2011. They burned through $50 million in funding, and Reuters documented how investors fled as deadlines kept slipping. The new Aptera, relaunched in 2019 by the same founders, is following the identical playbook. They promised production in 2020, then 2021, then 2022, then 2023, then 2024, and now they're claiming 2025 will be the year. SEC filings from March 2025 show just $13 million in cash, nowhere near enough for mass production. Their recent admission? We did not achieve this timeline due to delays in securing necessary funding. It's the same excuse from 2011. Word for word. Over 40,000 current reservation holders are walking the exact same path as those 4,000 customers who lost everything in 2011. History isn't just rhyming, it's repeating with devastating precision. But the deception goes deeper. Aptera is exploiting a dangerous regulatory loophole that allows them to avoid the safety standards required of every other passenger vehicle. Three-wheeled vehicles are classified as motorcycles by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, not cars. This means Aptera doesn't need to pass rigorous crash tests required of four-wheeled vehicles. Why do they do this? Cost savings. Meeting full automotive safety standards would require expensive engineering modifications and extensive testing, potentially adding hundreds of millions to development costs. But three-wheel vehicles have inherent stability issues. The physics are unforgiving. With a single rear-wheel configuration like Aptera's, there's a higher rollover risk during emergency maneuvers. No three-wheeled vehicle has ever achieved sustained mass production success in the United States. Buyers may unknowingly be purchasing what regulators consider a motorcycle, potentially affecting insurance rates, licensing requirements, and legal liability in accidents. Then there's Aptera's core marketing promise, up to 40 miles per day from solar charging alone. It sounds revolutionary, but the mathematics tell a different story. Those 40 miles require perfect conditions: direct sunlight, optimal parking angles, clean panels, ideal weather. Real-world testing suggests 10 to 15 miles per day is more realistic for average users. Aptera's solar panels generate roughly 700 watts under perfect conditions. That's enough to power a small microwave, not an 1,800-pound vehicle traveling at highway speeds. Solar charging becomes practically useless when you need your car most. Winter months with shorter days, frequent clouds, and snow-covered panels mean drivers in Minnesota or Alaska would receive virtually no solar benefit for half the year. Industry experts estimate the solar system adds $5,000 to $8,000 to production costs, money that could buy enough electricity to power an equivalent EV for years. The solar promise is mathematically impressive, but practically deceptive. Perhaps most disturbing is how Aptera's business model shows all the hallmarks of a Ponzi scheme, using new investor money to sustain operations rather than achieve production milestones. Since 2019, they've raised over $130 million through crowdfunding, yet they've manufactured exactly 0 vehicles for sale. Here's their pattern: announce production delays, launch a new funding round promising this is the final raise needed, attract new investors with updated timelines, then repeat the cycle. They've done this at least 6 times since 2019. In July 2025, Aptera announced they were closing their crowdfunding campaign, claiming they had enough funds to start production. Simultaneously, SEC filings revealed they still needed an additional $60 million they didn't have and hadn't secured. For perspective, Tesla burned through $10 billion before achieving profitability. Rivian raised $12 billion. Aptera's $130 million is pocket change by automotive standards. The efficiency claims that form the foundation of their marketing also violate basic engineering principles. Aptera claims their vehicle achieves 10 miles per kilowatt-hour, roughly 4 times more efficient than typical EVs. They attribute this to an ultra-aerodynamic design with a drag coefficient of just 0.13. But achieving such efficiency requires extreme compromises that make the vehicle impractical. The teardrop shape eliminates cargo space and passenger comfort. Ultra-low weight means minimal crash protection. Narrow tires reduce grip in emergency situations. Independent analysis by automotive engineers suggests Aptera's efficiency claims are likely exaggerated by 30 to 50%. Achieving 10 miles per kilowatt-hour requires perfect conditions that don't exist in normal driving. No hills, no headwinds, no air conditioning, no heating, no stop-and-go traffic. Variables like rolling resistance, real-world aerodynamics, and cabin climate control significantly reduce actual efficiency. The Aptera phenomenon represents something more dangerous than just another failed startup. It's become a cult. Vehicle choice has become a political and environmental identity statement rather than a practical transportation decision. Aptera reservation holders aren't just buying a car. They're buying into a vision of energy independence and environmental superiority. Online forums buzz with discussions of solar efficiency and aerodynamics. Skeptics are dismissed as fossil fuel shills or legacy auto defenders. This emotional investment blinds supporters to obvious warning signs. When a company repeatedly misses production deadlines, burns through investor capital, and makes claims that violate physics, rational evaluation should prevail over wishful thinking. Yet 15 years after its first failure, Aptera still attracts new believers. They're not just risking their money. They're participating in a pattern that has repeated itself with devastating precision. The numbers speak for themselves. In 2011, 4,000 customers lost deposits when Aptera collapsed. In 2025, over 40,000 customers are following the exact same path. Same founders, same promises, same pattern, same inevitable outcome. The question isn't whether Aptera will fail again. The question is, how many more people will lose their deposits before that inevitable day arrives? Sometimes the most revolutionary idea is simply learning from the past. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. And for Aptera, that rhyme is becoming a funeral dirge played to the tune of $130 million in crowd-funded dreams. The revolution was supposed to be in transportation. Instead, it became a masterclass in how hope can be weaponized against reason, and how the same people can profit from the same promises twice. Welcome to the future of electric vehicles, where the only thing more efficient than the cars is the efficiency of separating investors from their money.